Syria's army command has reportedly told officers that the rule of Bashar al-Assad has ended. The head of a Syrian opposition war monitor says the president left Syria to an unknown destination as rebels close in on the capture of the capital city of Damascus. Verified footage shows Syrian rebel tanks in one of Damascus's central squares. Rebels say they've entered the capital without any sign of deployment of government forces. Earlier, rebels took control of the central city of Homs, and swarms of government forces have reportedly fled the city towards the Iraq border. The rebel forces continue to take control of large parts of government territory as the Bashar al-Assad regime nears complete collapse after the rebels' surprise insurgency into Aleppo last week. Talks in Qatar have turned to securing a transition of power. The UN Special Envoy for Syria, Yair Petachon, says there needs to be an orderly political transition to ensure the country's 13-year civil war does not continue.
This must be the start of a process that leads to the realization of the legitimate aspirations of the Syrian people and the restoration of the sovereignty, independence and unity and territorial integrity of Syria. I reiterate my call for de-escalation, for calm, for the avoidance of bloodshed and the protection of civilians in line with international humanitarian law.
Well, for more on this developing story, we are joined by Middle East correspondent Matthew Doran in Jerusalem, and our Global Affairs editor John Lyons is also with us in the studio. John, let's start with you. What is the latest that you're hearing about the whereabouts of the president?
Well, Ruby, it appears that the 54-year regime, the Assad regime in the Arab world, one of the most ruthless in the Arab world, it appears that it's either falling or has fallen. Syrian soldiers, senior army officers have told Reuters that President Bashar al-Assad has left Damascus for an unknown destination. The Syrian Prime Minister has said that he remains in his home, but he's ready to help any smooth transition. The location of Bashar al-Assad is not known, but it appears that he has fled. 2,000 or so soldiers have fled across the border into Iraq, essentially in the face of these rebels coming in, the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. It looks like the Syrian army essentially put down its guns and ran. It appears the Assad regime has fallen.
Let's go now to Matthew Doran in Jerusalem. Matt, what reports are you hearing over there?
Ruby, good morning to you, or good afternoon in Australia. It is still very early here, so these reports are still coming through. It's just gone 7 o'clock in the morning in Damascus, 6 a.m. here in Jerusalem. But I think what we are all hearing here is that this has happened incredibly quickly, that these rebel fighters have managed to get to Damascus, have encircled parts of Damascus's suburbs, and that has caused the withdrawal of the Syrian army here. As we just heard from John, we're seeing reports that many thousands have now fled the country, trying to head south and away from this conflict. And it's clear that other countries in this region were expecting something to happen here. Late yesterday, we started seeing reports from the Israeli Defense Forces that it was bolstering its presence in the Golan Heights. This is an occupied part of this region. It is currently occupied by Israel. It is a disputed territory there and borders what is within the borders of Syria. And the IDF started to send more troops and more assets into that part of the Golan Heights to ensure that it was monitoring this situation. That was happening a couple of hours ago, so it's clear that there was intelligence flying around that the rebels were gaining in strength, they were gaining in momentum, and after those wins that they have had, those strategic wins that they have had going through a number of other towns, including Hama just a couple of days ago, and of course Aleppo last week, that surprise attack that really kick-started this renewed push to oust the Assad regime. This has happened incredibly quickly, and the full ramifications are still becoming clear.